Today we are going to discuss the topic ectopic pregnancy. So what is the ectopic pregnancy? An ectopic pregnancy is one in which the fertilized ovum is implanted and develops outside the normal endometrial cavity. This is the basic definition of the ectopic pregnancy. Now, the sites of implantation. 95% are the tubal, in which the ampullary, that is 70%, ischemic is 12%, fimbrial is 11, ovarian, interstitial, cervical, and very rare cesarean scar pregnancy and interligamentous or abdominal pregnancy. The sites where ectopic pregnancy can be, these are the sites of implantation. First is the tubal pregnancy. The frequency, the increased incidence has increased in recent times. The reason are the increased prevalence of the chronic pelvic inflammatory disease, tubal plastic operations, ovulation induction, and IUD use, that is intrauterine devices use. Secondly, early diagnosis help to detect some cases that in the past may have resolved spontaneously. The increased varies the incidence varies from 1 in 300 to 1 in 150 deliveries. Etiology: salpingitis and pelvic inflammatory disease increases the risk of the ectopic pregnancy by sixfold to tenfold. Loss of cilia of the lining epithelium and impairment of the muscular peristalsis. Narrowing of the tubal lumen. Formation of pockets due to adhesions between mucosal folds. Peritubal adhesions resulting in kinking and angulation of the tube. Chlamydia trachomatis infection is the most common risk factor. Salpingitis ischemica nodosa also increases the risk. Iatrogenic causes. The first is the contraception failure. Intrauterine devices. It prevents intrauterine pregnancy effectively. Tubal implantation is an lesser extent and an ovarian pregnancy not at all. There is a relative increase in tubal pregnancy, around 7 times more should pregnancy occur with IUD in situ. Copper T380A and the levonorgestrel devices have got the lowest rate of ectopic, whereas progestasert has got the highest one. Sterilization operation. There are the 50 to 50% chances of being ectopic if pregnancy occurs. This is due to the sterilization failure. The risk of the highest following laparoscopic bipolar coagulation, use of the progestin only pills, or postcoital estrogen preparations increases the chance of tubal pregnancy, probably by impaired tubal motility. Now, tubal surgery. Tubal reconstructive surgery to improve fertility increases the risk of the tubal pregnancy significantly, and other contributing factors are pre-existing tubal pathology, impaired tubal motility, kinking of the tube, terminal stricture, intrapelvic adhesions following pelvic surgery, ART. Tubal pregnancy is increased following ovulation induction and IVF in ET and GIFT procedures. The risk of ectopic is 5 to 7%, and that of the heterotypic pregnancy is 1% in contrast to 1 in 5,000 in spontaneous pregnancy. That causes previous ectopic pregnancy, there is 10 to 15% chances of the repeat ectopic. Prior induction abortion significantly increases the risk. Developmental defects of the tube, that is elongation, diverticulum, accessory ostia, transperitoneal migration of the ovum. Contralateral presence of the corpus luteum is noticed in tubal pregnancy in about 10% cases. Factor facilitating nidation in the tube. Early resumption of the trophoblastic activity is probably due to premature degeneration of the zona pellucida, increased decidual reaction, tubal endometriosis. Risk factors for the ectopic pregnancy: history of the PID, history of the tubal ligation, contraception failure, previous ectopic pregnancy, tubal reconstructive surgery, history of the infertility, ART, particularly if the tubes are patent but damaged, IUD use, previous induced abortion, and tubal endometriosis. Anatomical changes which responsible for this: changes in the tube. Implantation in the tube occurs more commonly in intracolumnar fashion, that is, in between two mucosal folds. Decidual changes at the site of implantation is minimal. The muscle undergoes limited hyperplasia and hypertrophy, but more stretching. Blood vessels are engorged. The blastocyst burrows through the mucosal membrane and lies between the lumen and the peritoneal covering, so-called intramuscular implantation. A pseudocapsule is formed consisting of fibrin lining epithelium and few muscle fibers. Blood vessels are eroded by the chorionic villi and blood accumulates in between the blastocyst and the serous coat. The tube of implantation site is distended and wall is thinned out. Blood may spill from the fimbriated end and may cause hemoperitoneum. The stretching of the peritoneum over the site of implantation results in episodic pain. Finally, tubal rupture occurs when the muscle and the serosa are maximally stretched and undergo necrosis. Hemoperitoneum is found in all cases of the ruptured tubal ectopic pregnancy. The trophoblast of the ectopic pregnancy do not usually grow as there is of a normal pregnancy. As a result, HCG production is inadequate compared to a normal pregnancy. Changes in the uterus under the influence of the estrogen progesterone from the corpus luteum and chorionic gonadotropin, there is varying amount of the enlargement of the uterus with increased vascularity. The decidua develops all the characteristic of the intrauterine pregnancy except that it contains no evidence of the chorionic villi. When progesterone level falls due to the fall in the level of HCG, endometrial growth is no longer maintained. Endometrium sloughs out, causing uterine bleeding. Sometimes entire decidua is expelled as a single piece through the cervix. This is known as the decidual cast that may be confused with the spontaneous abortion. Aries Stella reaction. This is the characterized by the typical adenomatous changes of the endometrial glands, intraluminal budding together with typical cell changes, that is loss of polarity of cells, pleomorphism, hyperchromatic nuclei, vacuolated cytoplasm, and occasional mitosis are collectively referred as the Aries Stella reaction. This is strongly due to progesterone influence. It is present in about 10 to 15% cases of the ectopic pregnancy. It is not, however, specific for ectopic pregnancy, but rather the blinding of conceptus either intrauterine or extrauterine. Mode of termination. Because of the unfavorable environment, early interruption of the pregnancy is inevitable within 6 to 8 weeks. Earliest interruption occurs in the ischemial implantation, whereas pregnancy may continue up to 3 to 4 months in interstitial implantation. The mode of termination are as follows. Tubal mole. The formation of tubal mole is similar to that formed in the uterine pregnancy. Repeated small hemorrhages occur in the chorioscapsular space, separating the villi from their attachments. The fate of the mole is either complete absorption or expulsion through the abdominal ostium or tubal abortion with variable amount of internal hemorrhage. The insisted blood so collected in the pouch of the Douglas is called pelvic hematocele. Tubal abortion. This is the commonest mode of the termination if implantation occurs in the ampulla or infundibulum. Muscular contraction enhances separation and facilitates its expulsion through the abdominal ostium. Tubal rupture. Tubal rupture is predominantly common in ischemic and interstitial implantation. As the ischemic portion is narrow and as the wall is less distensible, the wall may be easily eroded by the chorionic villi. Ischemic rupture usually occurs at 6 to 8 weeks, the ampullary one at 8 to 12 weeks, and the interstitial one at about 4 months. Depending upon the site of rupture, it is known as intraperitoneal rupture. This type of rupture is common. The rent is situated on the roof or side of the tube. The bleeding is intraperitoneal. Extraperitoneal rupture, intraligamentary. This is rare and occurs when the rent lies on the floor of the tube where the broad ligament is attached. It is commonly meant in ischemic implantation. So, in the one side of figure, there is unruptured tubal ectopic pregnancy, and in the other one figure there is a ruptured ampullary early tubal pregnancy is shown. Secondary abdominal pregnancy. The prerequisites for the continuation of fetal growth outside the tube are perforation of tubal walls should be a slow process. Amnion must be intact. Placental chorion should escape injury from the rupture. Herniation of the amniotic sac with the living ovum and the placenta should occur through the rent. Placenta get attached to the neighboring structure and new vascular connections should be re-established. The fibrin is deposited over the exposed amnion to constitute a secondary amniotic sac. Intestine, omentum, and adjacent structures get adherent to the secondary sac. Secondary broad ligament pregnancy. Rarely, pregnancy may continue in the same process as in abdominal pregnancy between the two layers of the peritoneum. Fate of secondary abdominal pregnancy. Death of the blastocyst causes complete absorption. Massive intraperitoneal hemorrhage due to placental separation, infection, fistulous communication with intestine, bladder, umbilicus. Fetal death, mummification, suppuration, adipose formation, calcification. Continuing to term pregnancy, this is a rare in 1% case. Risk of fetal malformation and deformation. So in this figure, we can see the all modes of termination of the tubal pregnancy. Tubal mole causes can be complete absorption, which is rare, and abortion. Pelvic hematocele causes. Now the other sides of the which can be abdominal, intraligamentous, ovarian, cervical, cesarean scar, and other rare sites of the ectopic pregnancy. We will take one by one. Abdominal pregnancy. Strictly defined abdominal pregnancy is an implantation in the peritoneal cavity exclusive of tubal, ovarian, or intraligamentous implantations. Incidence is 1 in 10,000 to 15,000, 25,000 live. How? It's following early tubal rupture, following abortion with implantation in the peritoneal cavity. Zygote can traverse the tube and implant primarily in the peritoneal. Now the diagnosis. Symptom may be vague or absent on examination. Abnormal fetal position may be palpated. Cervix and vagina are pulled up and are dislodged anteriorly and superiorly by the large fetal head in cul-de-sac. Laboratory tests are non. Now, the USG and MRI findings with the abdominal pregnancy may not be recognized and diagnosis may be often missed. Oligohydramnios is common but non-specific. Other clues from the MRI is the fetus seen separate from the uterus, fetus positioned eccentrically within the pelvis, lack of the myometrium between fetus and the maternal anterior abdominal wall, all bladder, extrauterine placental tissue. Management of the abdominal pregnancy. Abdominal pregnancy can be life threatening. Management depends upon the gestation age and diagnosis. The option one is the termination of pregnancy and also include urgent laparotomy. Second option is wait until fetal viability with close surgical objectives, the delivery of the fetus, and careful assessment of the placental implantation without provoking Preoperative considerations are the insertion of the urethral catheter, bowel preparation, assurance of the sufficient blood products, availability of the multidisciplinary surgical team, or elective transfer to a tertiary care. Decrease intraoperative blood loss, preoperative angiographic embolization, or catheter placed in the uterine artery may be inflated to decrease the intraoperative blood loss. Placenta removed or left. Placenta removal may precipitate torsional hemorrhage, hence, when possible, blood vessels supplying the placenta should be ligated first. Conditions where placenta removal should begin immediately. Placenta can be safely removed if there is already hemorrhage from its placenta. Leaving placenta in lesser of the two evils. Advantage is it decreases the chance of the immediate life-threatening hemorrhage, and disadvantage is the long-term causes the infection, which causes abscess, adhesions, intestinal obstruction, uterine obstructions, and finally wound disease. If left, placental involution should be monitored using sonography, serum beta HCG levels, and color Doppler USG to assess changes in blood flow. If the placenta is retained, the use of the postoperative methotrexate is controversial. Intraligamentous how? In zygote, implanted towards the mesosalpinx. Rupture may occur at the portion of tube not immediately covered by the peritoneum. Gestational content exudes into the space formed between the leaves of the broad ligament. Interligamentous or broad ligament incidence is rare. Clinical feature and management mirror those of abdominal pregnancy. Laparotomy is required in most instances. Laparoscopic excision of the early small pregnancy have also been described. The ovarian pregnancy incidence is rare. Clinical features mirror to those of the tubal ectopic pregnancy, although ovaries can accommodate expanding pregnancy more easily than fallopian tube, yet rupture at any early stage is the usual complication. Now diagnosis. Spiegelberg outlined four clinical criteria. Ipsilateral tube is intact and distinct from the ovary. Ectopic pregnancy occupies the ovary. Ectopic pregnancy is connected by utero-ovarian ligament to uterus, and ovarian tissue can demonstrate histologically amid placental tissue. On ultrasound, internal anechoic area is surrounded by a wide echogenic ring, which in turn is surrounded by the ovarian cortex. Classically, management of the ovarian pregnancy has been surgical, small lesion, ovarian wedge resection, cystotomy, large lesions, oophorectomy. Systemic or local injection of the methotrexate has been successful to treat unruptured ovarian pregnancy. With conservative or surgical management, serum beta HCG levels should be monitored to exclude remnant trophoblasts. Now, the cervical pregnancy is defined by cervical gland noted histologically opposite the placental attachment site, or by part or all the placenta found below the entrance of the uterine vessels or below the peritoneal reflection of the anterior uterus. Incidence 1 in 8,600 and 1 in 12,400 pregnancies. Incidence is increasing as a result of the artificial reproductive therapies. Another risk factor is previous DNC. Painless vaginal bleeding are the clinical features. Per speculum, distended thin-walled cervix with a partially dilated external os. Palpation above the cervical mass, a slightly enlarged uterine fundus may. Other investigations are MRI and 3D sonography. For the diagnosis, per speculum, we can do palpation and transvaginal sonography. Soft enlarged cervix equal to or larger than the fundus, uterine bleeding following amenorrhea without cramping pain, product of conception entirely confined within the firmly attached to the endocervix, a closed internal cervical os and a partially opened external os. These are the clinical diagnostic criteria for the cervical pregnancy. Now the management part. Medical management, methotrexate, systemic dose, and injected directly into the gestational sac. Methotrexate along with the uterine artery UI. Surgical management, suction curettage, hysterectomy. It may also required with bleeding uncontrolled by conservative method. Peroperative, operative uterine artery embolization, vasopressin injection, ligation of the descending branches of the uterine artery. Cervical branches can effectively be ligated with placement of hemostatic cervical sutures on the lateral aspect of the cervix at 3 and 9 o'clock. This is the method to decrease the intraoperative bleeding. Cesarean scar. This term describes implantation within the myometrium of the prior cesarean delivery scar. Incidence is 1 in 2000 pregnancies, increased alongside with the cesarean delivery rates. Pathogenesis has been linked to that of the placenta accreta. Clinical features usually present early. Pain and bleeding are common. 40% of women are asymptomatic and diagnosed during routine sonographic scan. Rarely, an early rupture can lead to abdominal. In transvaginal sonography, we can see. Now the treatment part. Patient desiring sterilization, we will do hysterectomy. Face fertility preserving options, systemic or locally injected methotrexate, either alone or combined with the conservative surgery. Visually guided suction curettage, transvaginal aspiration, hysteroscopic removal, and ischemic excision. These operations are completed solely or more typically with adjuvant methotrexate. Other often uterine artery embolization is used preoperatively to minimize hemorrhage. Other rare sites of the ectopic, such as the omentum, intramural, women with prior uterine surgeries, ART, adenomyosis, retroperitoneum, spleen, liver, laparotomy, laparoscopic excision in hemodynamically stable patient by those with suitable skill is gaining acceptance.